And we up in 3, 2. Welcome back to Deeper Than Stats podcast presented by K9ology Life Dawg and hosted by yours truly, Kaymon Farmer, mindset and habits coach for scholar athletes. And so I want to thank everybody for tuning in to this episode as we continue on our quest of being life dogs, having a passion and a purpose, being disciplined and accountable, having the courage to overcome any adversity and maximize on opportunities. And also, Life Dawgs connect with people and we build relationships. We focus in on that. We have created a mindset to be on a mission to do magical things and document our legacy along the way for the next person. And these are just some of the things that champions do daily in all areas of their life. So these are things that today's guest has done throughout his life and career. And I'm so fired up to have a big time guest come on today. I know Mike Dorsey, we're bringing a confidence program. And so he said that you're that prototype, you're that avatar. And so he gave me the word, I instantly hit you up, just like, hey man, let's build a relationship now. So further ado, LT Thomas, could you go ahead and give the audience some background on who you are, your playing experiences, some of the adversity you had to face, and how you overcame that?
Yeah, man, for sure. So I think it all starts back. I'm originally from Mobile, Alabama, born and mostly raised. We moved around a lot. So before I was 13, man, I lived in like Virginia, Michigan, Texas, Georgia. So just that in itself, I had to learn how to become a chameleon. Even before I got into sports, I had to learn how to blend in and out of crowds, right? You know, because we were moving so much, I didn't necessarily establish long friendships. So I had to learn how to navigate the system that way. So, but when we finally did get stable and started playing, you know, I was kind of lost. My mom didn't allow me to play sports until I was 12 years old. I was in middle school, so I was a late bloomer. My dad introduced me to the game watching wise, but he wasn't there. He left in 1996 to come up to Knoxville, Tennessee. He was in and out of my life. I always tell people this. I said, my dad wasn't absent, he was tardy, right? And so he was in and out. He was there, but you know, when I started to learn the game and play the game, I was a little bit behind, but I knew that I could be successful because I had my dad in my ear, regardless how far he was always trying to coach me and teach me, you know, how to play the game. He was my biggest critic and was my biggest supporter. You know, he's no longer here with me. That's a whole different adversity that we can share later down the road. But as far as when I was coming up, I found out I was pretty good at defense. I realized quickly I did not like to be hit. Do not hit me, you know. I go with a lot of guys who actually wanted the ball. I was like, no, that's not me. So learned the position of linebacker, and then I started to naturally gravitate to good inside linebackers. And so I grew up my whole life idolizing Ray Lewis, man, you know, from wanting to be like him, to talk like him. And that's kind of where my motivational speaking passion comes from, because just his words, each and every word that he says and each and every phrase and quotes, it holds some type of conviction. And no matter what I was doing, it got me fired up. So just that little snippet of learning the adversity there. As far as the game go, man, I think football is the greatest game of life, if you ask me. You know, again, you're going to always be put in those situations that's uncomfortable. And a lot of things that I'm telling my mentees is, you know, you have to put yourself in those situations of being uncomfortable. You have to be comfortable getting in those uncomfortable situations, because if you don't grow. You know, this is like a bodybuilder. If he's not tearing his muscles, if he's not wearing himself down, he's never going to get the gains he wants, right? So Mobile, playing middle school ball, do pretty well. They'll start, man, you know, doing as well as I could as middle school. Then go to high school ball. I actually played a year of high school ball down in Mobile. This is where things kind of start getting rocky for me. Just as personally, my dad wasn't physically in my life. He would come down, he watched maybe, you know, a couple of games, but again, he lived 400 miles away. It's not that easy just to, you know, keep coming back and forth from Knoxville to Mobile, Alabama. So he came down, man, and it was like, bro, I need my dad in my life. For me, I needed to be with my dad. And so,
what age did you realize this?
well, I knew at the age of 12. So when I went into my first year of middle school, I knew and kind of started to act out then. I just had a lot of aggression, but really didn't know what the root of it was. So I was getting in fights, just you think it's just typical teenager stuff, my mom kind of brushed it to the side. But going into like my 7th, 8th grade year, it was like, yeah, I need to be with my dad, and so discussed that with my mom, and she was like, yeah, at the end of your 8th grade year, you can go live with your dad. Well, that day came and went. When I was done with the 8th grade, my mom had got remarried or whatever, and so we ended up moving. And I did. Bottom line, I didn't go at the time, and so you can understand how for the last 2-3 years I've been told I'm gonna go live with my dad, and that didn't happen, right? So I started to act out, start to do things that I figure, well, hey, we're gonna speed up this process. I'm gonna go live with my dad one way or another. End up getting too far out there in the rebellion stage, man. I end up having to go to juvenile detention center for like 2 weeks, and that kind of forced my dad to come get me. But one way or another, I was gonna get to him, and so that kind of forced me up here. And looking back, hindsight is 2020, right? Grass is not always greener on the other side. But I do say this: had I not went through what I went through when I moved up here, I wouldn't be the person who I am today. So continuing the football journey, I come to a local high school up here in Knoxville, South Doyle High School. And this is a funny little story I tell